When Billy the Kid died, his legend was sealed, but his body's story was just beginning, and trust me, no Western film wants to linger here. Hollywood sells you the glorious gunfighter's last stand, the mourners, the music, the truth. The reality was a lot grimmer. July 1881, baking outside Fort Sumner, and Billy's corpse did not get a hero's send-off. No embalming, no ice, not even a proper coffin. Just a famous dead man lying in the New Mexico heat, while the locals tried to figure out how to get him underground before the stench and the flies took over completely. Forget the mythic funeral. This was a panicked, all-too-human scramble, a rush to bury a rapidly decaying outlaw before the whole place started to reek, and before the flies claimed the building for good. And that's where we're going today. Skip the gunfights and the outlaw romance. We're getting into the stuff Hollywood always avoids. What actually happens after the shooting stops, when the only thing left is sweat, stink, flies, and the brutal logistics of burial on the frontier. If you want to understand what comes after the legend, you have to follow the body. The job is ugly. The legend of Billy the Kid shrinks fast when you see how quickly a famous corpse turns into a physical problem, a problem nobody really wants to touch. As the sun climbed higher, so did the urgency. Every passing hour, Billy's body was less notorious outlaw and more volatile mess. In the New Mexico summer, decomposition moves fast. Within hours, the corpse would start to swell, skin darkening and stretching, and a sickly sweet odor rolling through the air. The place already smelled like sweat and old adobe. Add fresh death to that, no perfume could cover it. This wasn't some far-off battlefield or a big city with block ice and undertakers on standby. There was no embalming fluid, no funeral home. The only option was to work fast or let Billy's last act be a stench that haunted every building for weeks. So, a group of townsmen gathered, maybe a deputy or two, nobody with training, nobody eager for the job. They picked a patch of hard-packed earth just outside the adobe walls, started digging as fast as they could. The ground was baked solid, almost as unforgiving as concrete. Every swing of the shovel sent up clouds of dust, mixing with the smell of decay. Flies landed on hands, arms, faces on the living and the dead. The men worked faster, not out of respect, but because the odor was driving them to desperation. This wasn't a solemn ritual, it was a flat-out race against heat, time, and the relentless advance of rot. Billy's grave wasn't deep. It was barely enough to keep out the worst of the sun and the animals. The burial itself, quick, quiet, more about escape than ceremony. Maybe a few muttered words, maybe not. Most of the men just turned away to wipe sweat from their faces and try to get out of the stench. The flies didn't care who'd been buried. They just kept coming, settling on the loose dirt long after everyone else had fled. Maybe a rough plank with his name stood over the dirt for a while. Maybe not. Either way, that patch of ground swallowed the legend fast. For the men who put Billy the Kid in the ground, the memory wasn't a story for the grandkids. It was dust in the mouth, the dead weight of a body, and a stink that clung for days. History remembers Billy the Kid as larger than life. But out here, in the sun and the flies, the West did what it does to everyone else, stripped the legend down to a body, just another unpleasant problem to bury. That's the part nobody puts in the movies. And honestly, nobody misses. But if you've made it this far, you'll never look at a famous outlaw grave the same way again.